partnership with Blue Cross Blue Shield on a mobile vaccine site, which you'll be seeing locally at apartment complexes and other areas so that folks who need access to that vaccine in their backyard can go ahead and receive their shots. Just an FYI, the state fairgrounds, you can call 1-833-431-2053 and make an appointment for your shot today. They have translators there who can support if you need a different language. So they really are doing their best to be accessible to folks in our community who need those shots. We're excited to keep moving here. We are grateful for some federal allocations that will support our response efforts through the end of the year. We received a little bit, approximately $2.5 million from the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention to support vaccine distribution through the end of 2021. Our goal is to make these vaccines as convenient as possible. We'll do so by offering those multiple locations, going to where people are, and even calling folks back if they miss a dose, calling them back and making sure that they have what they need to receive the full series. And now I'm going to go ahead and introduce you all to our operations chief, Gina Pastolka. In a former lifetime, she was our clinical services manager, and we've worked together over the years on a number of other response efforts, but I'm glad to be working with her again on our COVID vaccine distribution. So, Gina.
Madam Chair, before you step away.
Commissioner Reinhardt, go ahead.
Yes, thank you. When you gave the phone number, I believe you referenced that is the phone number for the vaccine being administered through the state fairgrounds or at the state fairgrounds. And I believe that is limited to the geographic areas, or is that not the case any longer?
You know,
so I just want to make sure that people writing down that number don't get misdirected if in fact they're not eligible to get their vaccine there.
Commissioner Reinhardt, Chair Carter, that is true. At this point, the State Fairgrounds has not expanded their network beyond the 65 zip codes that were initially published. But we do encourage folks to go ahead and call, tell your friends and neighbors who live in those zip codes. Go ahead, it's a pretty easy process. I have friends who called at 9 a.m. and had their shot at 3:30 that same day, so very accessible.
So in order to check, I would assume on our website we have that information. And if somebody doesn't know for sure, it sounds like there's probably not a long wait on the line to get through, that if they're not in the correct zip code, they will be told to look at other locations.
That is correct, yes.
Okay, because clearly we're not going to name off all 65 zip codes right now. So.
Thank you very much for that qualifying question, Commissioner.
Thank you.
If there are no other questions, I will go ahead and let Gina take the stage.
Thank you. Madam Chair, Commissioners, County Manager O'Connor, and Director Hadeen, I am so very proud of the work that the St. Paul Ramsey County Public Health COVID operations team has accomplished this year, and I really feel privileged to work among these passionate and committed people, and we're going to talk about the work in a moment. This team consists of my leadership colleagues, Kathy Filbert and Joel Anderson, in total 5 branches and 100 people. And we have worked in collaboration with the other branches of our incident command system and have over the last year, and I'm grateful for the opportunity to show you a glimpse of our work and showcase one of our branches in operations. Since the very start of COVID and our vaccine response, St. Paul Ramsey County Public Health has been modeling the very effective ways to partner and reach within community to ensure our BIPOC communities are vaccinated and to begin to address the racial disparities that have been so pronounced in this pandemic. We have been going to where people live or congregate and have been reaching more deeply into communities to engage in this response. And how we're doing that is our strike teams began at the initiation of our vaccine response. And to date, we have held 50 of the 148 clinics as strike teams, which have been small sites that reach the underserved and BIPOC communities and span locations such as our public housing authority, high-rises, temporary housing sites, shelters. We've worked with Cluis and St. Mary's to reach our Mexican consulate. We've worked with our Black Nurses Rock to host clinics at Shiloh Baptist and Mount Olivet. And we've been recently working with the Tibetan Association of America, as well as our First Baptist Church, which hosts is our religious home for our Karen community. And most recently, success has been in our partnership with vaccinations with local mosques and our Islamic Center. The work of our community outreach branch, both the outreach and the engagement prior to and during clinics, have been crucial to the success of vaccination clinics. And Kim Closey will introduce this team and the work in a moment. First, I'd like to take this moment to acknowledge and introduce Kim Closey. She has been deployed as our Director of Community Outreach since the start of the Incident Command System over a year ago. She's been working with this stellar outreach team and has provided guidance on strategy and approach to outreach. And under Kim's leadership, this team has developed resources for the community, has engaged the communities, and have been committed to serving and bringing people to these clinics in a collaborative effort. Kim has been a strong advocate and leader, and I appreciate all she's done towards this effort. So without further ado, here's Kim.
Thank you, Gina. That's very nice. Madam Chair, Commissioners, County Manager O'Connor, and Deputy Kathy Hedin, thank you for letting us be here today. It's an honor to tell you about my team. In the before times, I worked in the Healthy Communities Department of Public Health, and since a year ago, March, I've been leading the community outreach team. And we have about 20 people on our team. It fluctuates a little bit. They all have their regular jobs, and they have been redeployed to serve on the outreach team. We have 2 people that have been hired specifically for COVID. But we have a bilingual team. We have about 6 languages on our team. And so we do a lot of work with our communications branch. We are both the reviewers and the translators, but we also help create materials that are specifically needed by our particular communities. We provide information and resources to the community, both face-to-face and virtually. We have a large network of regular newsletters that go out every week, letting our community members know all that is latest and greatest in the world of COVID. We answer questions from individuals. We answer questions from agencies and businesses. Our team works on site at clinics. We have people working as interpreters. We have people working as injectors. We have people being greeters and other things there. We are currently supporting the community conversations that are being held. During the month of April, we've got 8 agencies that are holding at least 2 community conversations focused on different cultural communities. What we're really hoping to gather from that is more information about vaccine hesitancy, what is still out there that we need to address. If people have overcome their hesitancies, what is it that triggered that change, so we can really communicate that message to our communities that are still needing to be vaccinated but still kind of hesitant. We also are working to promote the state fair events that Laura mentioned, and so there's a lot of events happening at smaller clinics all around. So we want to get people to those as well as to our larger sites, our established sites. One of our primary goals in the outreach team is to work with communities where they are, meet them where they are at, physically and just theoretically, and really build trust and relationships with them. It started during our testing phase, and we are well into that mode now in our vaccine phase. That's what we get to talk to you about today. One of our successes in terms of building relationships with the East African community. We are providing culturally competent education around the vaccine, addressing myths, addressing misinformation, and answering questions as they come up. We see our role as being responsible to relate accurate and timely information. Things change quickly in the world of COVID. Sometimes what I said an hour ago is no longer true. So we have to constantly pivot and make sure we're giving accurate information. One of the considerations and one of what we want to talk about today is some vaccine events that we did focused on the East African community before Ramadan. We wanted to host a couple of clinics, get people at least their first shot before Ramadan started. For a variety of reasons, people don't want to take vaccine or medication during Ramadan, so it was important to get that first dose in ahead of time. So we partnered with 2 different agencies within the Somali and Oromo community, and we held one event at a mosque on a Friday. And I'm thrilled to introduce my colleagues here in a moment, but they were instrumental in getting that work done and getting people in the doors. We had, working with our community partners to host it, to provide the space. They provided a lot of the translators that were needed. We actually were able to funnel community volunteers through our MRC, or Medical,
Reserve Corps.
Medical Reserve Corps, thank you. I work in acronyms all the time. But then we were able to have people of color that were actually being the people on site. So it's important for people to show up and see people who look like them when they show up at a vaccine clinic. So we were able to get people through the MRC volunteer process so that they could then work on site and be part of the process. We did a lot to promote it. We did a lot of face-to-face outreach. Our team worked tirelessly to sit down and help people register. As you may know, the registration process all happens online in order to get an appointment for a vaccine. And that's not necessarily easily accessible for a lot of our community members. So what our team does a lot of times is ends up helping people on the phone so that we're talking to somebody and we're working on our own laptop, going page by page through the vaccine appointment process. And so we had pre-registration events in which we got people registered for the vaccine clinic that was happening the following week. Part of it was really about the timing and really focusing on the messaging. One of the things that was so beautiful at this clinic, I actually texted Laura and Gina while I was there, and I said, I wish I could take pictures because this is so beautiful. But people were lined up. They had 2 different rooms. They had them separated for men and women, so it was very important to have the privacy screen in between so that women could be vaccinated in a safe environment. I think I was one of 4 white people in the room. It was beautiful. It was all this language happening around me that I didn't understand, but I knew that it was good. So I was really thrilled to be a part of it all and make it happen. So I am thrilled to introduce and recognize both Hiba Sharif and Zahabia Khalil. Hiba is one of the coordinators on one of my teams in the outreach, and Zahabia has been tirelessly working within the Oromo team for a very long time. So I will let them take the floor.
Hi, thank you for having us here. Zahabia is standing right next to me because we're both fully vaccinated, so we think it's okay. So at our, thank you for, I've worked for Ramsey County Public Health for the past 7 years, and Zahabia has worked for Ramsey County Public Health for the past 21 years, and we've been doing health education outreach with the Child and Teen Checkups program. So it's our honor to be with the outreach team, working on COVID response. And I'm so happy to have Kim as a boss for this project because she kind of lets us run with ideas when it comes to the community. She's always like, there's a hierarchy, but we'll see how we can make this happen. So we're so excited to be able to work with our local mosques and get people registered. We vaccinated about 200 people at our last event at Darul Uloom Islamic Center. And the way we got those people there was Zahabia and I went to a Friday prayer and said, we're going to register all 200 people there. And then we kind of overestimated how powerful we were because we got rushed at the table and they were like, okay, we need a new strategy, and had people sign up through a sign-up sheet, and then we ended up calling them back. And we did a lot of outreach at different mosques, having imams have a list of people to give to us so we can call them back and register. Also, we reached out to, they're called Somali Medical Association of America and Somali Nurses Association of America, and we had nurses sign up for the MRC, Medical Reserve Corps for Ramsey County so they can volunteer at our clinics. So 6 of our vaccinators were Somali nurses who work in Minnesota, who generously donated their time. And then we also had a physician who's doing her residency at Hennepin Health come there. And she came in handy because people would walk in who weren't registered. We're like, we don't know about this vaccine. We're a bit hesitant. We think it's going to cause infertility. We're like, oh, okay, call the doctor. And the next thing you know, they're like, sign us up. And they got vaccinated right there and then. And we had 7 non-medical volunteers from the mosque who were registering people, checking them in, making sure they know where to go. And the feedback we got from the community, especially the imams, women were so happy that they got their own space where they could get vaccinated. And the imam's constantly calling me, and he's like, Hiba, is there any way we could do another clinic before May 7th? I was like, no, we're going to add 100 doses, though, to the second dose clinic to get more people vaccinated. And we have an upcoming Oroma clinic, and Zavi can tell you a little bit about it with the Oroma community.
Hi, my name is Zahabia. I've been with county, as Hibat said, for last almost 22 years, and I've been in different departments within public health, and then I've been with COVID since beginning, and I love what I do. I'm so glad I am in this, outreach team. We have done many things. It's not really easy to work with community, but I know what county wants, and I know what community needs. So just serving my community and representing Ramsey County is so honored for me. With Oromo community, it wasn't as easy as I think Somali community was. Somalis was about maybe 99% was Muslim. When it comes to Oromos, we are from Ethiopia, East Africa, but Oromos have different faiths. 60% was Muslim, and the rest was, we have Christianity, and we have different faith, who they practice different faith. So when they were offer us a masjid, I go like, okay, if I just gonna go to the masjid, my, Oromos who do not practice Islam wouldn't come to the masjid. So we came up, within a few days, ask if they can provide us Oromo community, because we do have the community center where everybody can come together. And Kim, say, why not? You are in the lead. You do what work for the community. So now it's coming in 2 days. We were at the community, and they approved. We were able to go there. And community partnering, the imams, the people from the church, and people from the community leaders is helping. I think we will be able to vaccinate, hoping 300, community members will be coming. We have a lot of volunteers in the community who is willing to help us. We'll be there.
Thank you, you guys. We're happy to answer any questions if there are any.
And so, Madam Chair, let me wrap up with 2 really quick other updates, and huge thanks to Kim and Hibat and Zahavia for presenting today and bringing that story to life. We can tell that story on a dashboard, but it's so much more important to hear it through people. The final 2 quick updates on COVID. There are 3.
I'm sorry. I must interrupt you, because on this piece, we've had a hand up for a little while from Commissioner McDonough. So I want to call on Commissioner McDonough for his question or comments, please. Commissioner.
Yep, thanks, Madam Chair. Yeah, I appreciate the opportunity here. In the first, and I'm sorry, I don't have the names. I didn't write them down, and we don't get to see them on the screen. We might want to look at that to help us out here. But in the first kind of report out, there was a reference to really trying to understand the messaging and what works to help people have confidence in getting vaccinated. It was great to really hear the story from within the Oromo community and the success of that, because and to hear it, Brian, as you point out, not just on the dashboard, but actually hear from people. I had the opportunity, I listened in on an NPR report that was recently done. And I want to say John Hopkins did it. It was very in-depth, but it was a national report that really taken a look at what type of messaging, what works to get folks that are hesitant or actually, refusing to get vaccinated. And they had cohorts from all over the country and cohorts from different types of populations that were hesitant or refusing. And two things rose to the top, and they tested everything, right? Even messages from loved ones and family and religious leaders, everything. And the two things that rose to the top, one is that was just demonstrated, especially in cultural communities, is that messaging coming from within the community and trusted leadership, but even going farther, the people registering or even administrating the vaccines was really important. It wasn't just about the messaging, but the confidence and trust through the whole process. The other piece that was really interesting, and this is kind of the bigger piece more in the Caucasian community of the anti-vax and that just resist and are taking this position that for various reasons. There was one thing that really resonated within that community, and that was when they heard from their own doctor, their own personal doctor gave them the message that they really needed to get vaccinated. That was the one thing that made change. And I bring that up because we might want to look at, we have health partners here, and I tell you what, I get mass messaging from health partners constantly about different things, and we might want to take a look at what a messaging thing might look like coming from personal care doctors to their client list about the importance of vaccination and why it matters, because that was about the only thing that made a difference in that one cohort of Caucasians that are resisting vaccination. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner McDonough, and for holding on your comments for so long. I just also want to say how much we appreciate the outreach to all our communities and specifically to our diverse communities, some of which are not typically on the top of the list, but we have made such an effort here in doing the direct outreach. And of course, thank you to everyone on the staff, to Heba and Sabia in particular. Thank you so much for your work. And with that, County Manager, I'll turn it back to you.
Thanks, Madam Chair. Just the two final updates. It was reported this weekend, and just wanted to follow up and point it out again that on the Bethesda Hospital front, we passed one of our long-awaited milestones of transitioning from the staffing model of the county standing up and running the operations on its own to executing a grant agreement to bring on board a shelter provider partner at Bethesda. It's the Salvation Army. They're one of a number of partners on site, but specific to running the shelter operations part. The onboarding meetings with Salvation Army have been initiated. We're working them to introduce us to our other on-site partners that include Handy Help, mental health and chemical dependency services, Ramsey County Public Health, who is there doing vaccinations, syringe exchange, HIV, Hep C, STD, other services, Emma Norton and Person-Centered Housing Consultants, who are doing housing navigation, and mHealth Fairview providing nursing services. Salvation Army is beginning their hiring process, and they've expressed strong interest in recruiting from our limited duration shelter staff. So there's an opportunity there as well. During the month of May, the transition to day-to-day operations will begin, and we'll be setting the date based on how the transition's going, hiring and onboarding, et cetera. And we have been updating the Capital Area Architectural and Planning Board throughout the process to ensure that they are aware of the continued movement forward at Bethesda. We've shared the news on site with our partners, and the Bethesda website has been updated. So big step forward. Thanks to everyone who's been involved and our community partners who participated in the screening of applicants for the shelter provider services. Finally, there's a series of 3 community conversations happening this week to discuss areas of Ramsey County's COVID-19 response. This ties some to our afternoon workshop today around the American Recovery Plan as we continue to seek feedback on what we've already done and thoughts from community about where needs remain. Food security and basic needs, there was a town hall yesterday, April 19th in the evening. There's one today on employment supports, and then another on the 27th, so a week from today, on racial equity and community engagement responses. You've seen some of that in a recent board workshop. During each session, staff are sharing how funds have been spent through the Coronavirus Aid, Relief, and Economic Security Act, CARES, and how they were invested through the community rapidly through all of our various efforts. Community members will be asked to provide feedback on thoughts around additional relief investments, which will always help to guide us both on the budget process that we are going through as well as specific conversations about continued COVID-19 relief. And with that, I thank all of the presenters today, particularly from public health, more important than even presenting their work that they are doing in the community every day, and for everyone else across the organization who made these updates possible.
Thank you very much. Looking at the screen, I have a couple of hands up from Commissioner Matas-Castillo first.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I did have just one quick question. As we've seen large amounts of people gathering in protests or in solidarity to the events that have occurred, is there still free community testing for COVID happening this week? And if so, what are the locations? Do you know that?
Madam Chair and Commissioner Matas-Castillo, thanks for the question. I think it's important, especially as people are gathering and using their right to protest. In St. Paul, we still have the Roy Wilkins Center over at the River Center. They are free. You can walk in or you can make your appointment online. There are other state-run testing sites around the metro area and around the state as well, and you can find those on our website at ramseycounty.us/coronavirus. And we do encourage people, if you're out and if you're around others, definitely take the time and go get tested. Thanks for bringing that up through that question.
Yeah, thanks so much.
Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner Mary Jo McGuire.
Thank you. Thank you, Madam Chair, and thanks everyone for this great information that we've just gotten this morning. Deputy County Manager Hedin, just to follow up on Commissioner Matas-Castillo's question, are those sites open on weekends? I know I could go online and look. I just don't have it up right now. I just know that people who are having symptoms with their young children now, I'm hearing so many more families with young children that are needing to be tested. So those are open on weekends. I just want to clarify for the viewing public.
Yes, Madam Chair, Commissioner McGuire, absolutely. Those sites are open on the weekends, which is equally important for anyone who is out in community, but for our students and families with kids who are in school right now. I take my 2 kids there every other week to get tested on the weekends. So they do have hours during the week, and they also have hours on the weekends. I think, and this is where I'm going to get in trouble, probably 10 to 4, but please look it up, ramseycounty.us/coronavirus.
Thank you so much for that reminder that people can take their kids and their family members there, because I'm seeing certainly more people that I know that are coming down with it and are needing to get tested. Just one other thing, Madam Chair, with the team that Kim had, and I just want to say thanks, and I'm going to remember the line that the presenters used, which was, we know what the county wants and we know what the county wants and we know what the people need. And I think that's just so crucial, and Kim lets us do it. And I think that that's just something we need to remember, that we just want all of our teams to feel that way, that we want to make sure that they have the ability to really make it happen. And I think we have been demonstrating that in so many areas during this pandemic, and I know we all have appreciated that, and I just want to note that struck me, and I know we want that to continue. So thanks so much to all of public health and all of the work that you're all doing. It just matters so much, of course, as we know. So are there numbers? A couple more questions. Are there, what percentage of the communities of color have we vaccinated? Is that on the dashboard, or how are we doing? We're doing well. I mean, it's great to hear the stories and things. I'm just curious if we're keeping track of what percentage we're getting done and what we have left to do.
Madam Chair, yes, and Commissioner McGuire, thanks for that question. On our vaccine dashboard, if you scroll down, you can see demographics, and you'll see outlined American Indian, and hopefully the dashboard is showing now, but it's possible that it's not. Asian, Black, African American, Native, Hawaiian, Pacific Islander, people who put other race down, and then white. And you'll see both the percentage of population who live in Ramsey County and then the percent of the population that have been vaccinated. And if you were to take a snapshot of this page each week since we started putting this up here, you'll see the blue line is continuing to grow, and hopefully we'll see it grow beyond the green line here for the categories.
Thank you so much for pointing that page out. It is showing up on our screen now, so thank you.
Perfect.
And that's great work to everyone who's involved. And then my final question is, I was talking to I was doing a walk and talk with a friend, and they were wearing their COVID Vax button. And I said, oh, where did you get that? And they said, oh, I got it in Hennepin County. That I guess so other entities are giving out these buttons that have, it's kind of like the I voted button, but it's the COVID Vax button. And I was just curious if we had thought about doing that. I mean, I think just sometimes it reminds people that they should get vaccinated if they're in a community that may be nervous about it. Did we think about it, or is it just not something that rose to any level of action?
Madam Chair, Commissioner McGuire, I love the question. We do provide stickers, and we also have an amazing selfie stand that most of our local public health departments and partners across the state do not have. So if we want to compare who has what, please come to one of our sites and take a selfie with the I got my COVID vaccine behind you. It's pretty cool.
Of course, I should not be surprised that you would have that. I'm so proud of our department, and I didn't. I would always hold up Ramsey County over Hennepin, and so thank you for that. I didn't get my vaccine at Ramsey County, so I didn't get one of those stickers. But I'm glad you're doing that. Thank you.
The wonders of technology for spreading the word. Thank you, Commissioner Reinhardt.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And I think Deputy County Manager Hadeen will remember that one of my constituents, Rick Geldman from North St. Paul, actually had forwarded that idea to us as far as a sticker or a button or something to encourage people. And so obviously great minds, I think alike as far as getting the message out. It is not only the right thing to do, but it's also the safe thing to do. One of the questions that I had on the dashboard was, I'm hearing more about younger children getting COVID, and I'm wondering, the overall statistics, we can see how those are going, but have there been any major changes in the age groups or things that should be of concern? Because I know someone recently that had a 2- and 4-year-old that they had COVID or have COVID right now, and so could you speak a little bit to that issue as far as whether the demographics have changed on who is getting it, especially regarding an age group?
Commissioner Reinhardt, Chair Carter, I would like to answer that question. We have seen changes in demographics within our caseload. More younger people, 30 and under. Not significant changes in terms of young children, ages 2 to 4, but we're definitely keeping an eye on it. And I think that is one of the reasons why we saw the governor expand eligibility when he did. You're seeing a slowdown in cases among folks who've been able to be vaccinated, but for those younger children, it really is important that their family members seek vaccine and that they are themselves tested if they're continuing to go to a school environment or daycare. So yeah, we're keeping an eye on that.
Thank you.
Thank
you very much for the question. Also, Commissioner Reinhardt. We are going to need to move along in our agenda. In addition to our meeting, we have closed meeting afterward, a lunch meeting as well with our building operators and managers, and an afternoon workshop. So we'll press along so that we have an opportunity to have a little break in between, hopefully, those. I'll check back in without comment from the county manager, who is not on the screen at this point in time.
Yeah, it'll come back, Madam Chair. No further updates here. We plan to, as Deputy County Manager Hadeen mentioned, bring additional team members from across public health in to continue to highlight the work that's being done there and allow others to help tell the story of how our entire community is working through COVID together.
Thank you very much. And again, thanks to all for the comprehensive update regarding COVID. We will move on then to our administrative agenda, Commissioner Ortega.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'd like to move item number 4, agreements with cities for voting equipment and election services. Item number 5, local unified plan for 2021 through 2024. Item number 6, 2021 report of contracts, grants and revenue agreements, emergency purchases, sole source, single source purchases, and final payments.
Second.
Thank you for the motion and for the second. Is there any discussion on these items before we move forward? Will the clerk please call the roll?
Ortega.
Aye.
Reinhardt.
Aye.
Betham.
Aye.
Mattis Castillo.
Aye.
McDonough.
Aye.
McGuire.
Aye. Aye.
Carter.
Aye, and thank you very much. The administrative agenda has passed in its totality. Lack of discussion does not mean lack of appreciation for huge work that we have just approved in moving these items forward, of course, including work on voting equipment and also our local unified plan for workforce. And thank you so much to our Workforce Solutions Department for bringing forth a plan through 2024 for managing to the support in our community that is needed to connect businesses to employees and to ensure that people, families, children are supported in our community through work. Difficult time to see this work happening. So very critical, and this points out the people and the work that we are pursuing together with Ramsey County and with our partners toward that end. So thank you very, very much. And also, of course, contracts that we just passed. I want to move on to our legislative update with Commissioner McGuire.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And it will come as no surprise to any of us that with the death of Daunte Wright and the ongoing trial of former police officer Derek Chauvin, that tensions and debate on public safety have been renewed and ignited at the Capitol. So last week, the Senate Majority Leader Paul Gazelka indicated that the Senate would be holding fact-finding hearings, but stopped short of having any legislation that had any new reforms. And there's a great call for that. Several DFL legislators, some from Ramsey County, are suggesting that the legislature not move forward with any omnibus spending bill until reforms are passed. So it's front and center of the conversation going on at the Capitol now. Yesterday, the Senate did pass a bill funding an additional request from Governor Walz to finance additional officers coming from other states to assist Minnesota. In addition, the Senate passed a resolution supporting the National Guard, condemning the removal of the Guard from the Labor Hall, and calling for the removal of labor leaders who allowed that action. So that happened in the Senate, and the House will take up the omnibus public safety bill on the floor on Wednesday. And this is Representative Carlos Mariani's committee. And the bill already passed the Senate, and the bill includes language putting limitations on pretext traffic stops for violations like expired license tabs. So a lot going on at the Capitol surrounding all of these issues. The legislators are really struggling with how they want to move forward, really taking into account the very powerful events that are happening this week and the historical significance of it all. Almost all of the omnibus bills on the floor this week, with the exception of the bonding bill or the Senate version, which hasn't had a hearing yet, There are a lot of items in these omnibus bills to watch, including the new homelessness prevention aid in the House tax bill to more business assistance aid that would go through counties also in the tax bill. So on the federal front, there are rumors that the guidance from the U.S. Treasury around the American Rescue Plan would come out at the end of the month, which is a short time away. Senate Republicans last week put out a bill in Senate Finance which spent the state's $2.6 billion. So a big part of that went to transportation projects, so we're happy about that. But lots going on in both of these, but a lot of it's focused on what's happening in Minnesota right now as well. So thank you, Madam Chair. If any other of my colleagues who are doing a lot, continue to do a lot at the Capitol want to comment, that would be great.
Thank you very much for the update, Commissioner. I'm looking and I see no hands. Appreciating your legislative update. We're going to move on then to board updates. We have a few minutes each to briefly share relevant updates. And of course, we're moving toward the conclusion of our meeting. I'll start with Commissioner Reinhardt, and we'll go alphabetically and back to Commissioner Ortega. Commissioner Reinhardt.
I'll keep this really brief. Much of my meetings and action has been, or work has been in the area of climate change and including the Clean Water Council.
Thank you very much, Commissioner Reinhardt. Commissioner Fretham.
Thank you, Chair Carter. Lots of outside board and committee meetings, but just wanted to share Public Works Director Tachenniker and I were able to stop by the Arden Hills City Council workshop last night to talk about the Lake Johanna corridor and express our excitement for this project. The corridor study is really important. That's a dangerous roadway and it's causing a lot of issues. So an opportunity to really find a solution, engage with the community. So excited about that. And then also thank you to Ling Becker, who invited me to join her this morning with the Arden Hills Shoreview Rotary Club to talk about workforce changes as a result of COVID. So I was glad to be able to drop in and listen to her speak and the questions from community there.
Thank you very much. Commissioner Matas-Castillo.
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair. I also wanted to share that the Community Action Partnership of Ramsey and Washington County has appointed a permanent executive director in Catherine Fair. Catherine has been a 20-year plus employee at CAPRW and served as the interim over the last year. And so she has been appointed as executive director, just so that you're all aware. Also, last night I participated in a town hall along with our other St. Paul delegation members and council member Delali with community focused on the Midway and just hearing from community about concerns and planning and ongoing preparation when the verdict comes out and as the events unfold. We had 230 people on our Zoom call last night, and it was really heartwarming to hear that the community is engaged. They have concerns, but overall supportive and happy with the responses that have been prepared for and coming out of St. Paul and Ramsey County. And there was a spirit of hope and continued unity of the community together. So it was a heartwarming and engaging event last night that community was involved in.
Thank you very much, Commissioner Matas-Castillo. And let me say thank you for everyone's reports, and particularly to you and Commissioner Fretham, and I believe our staff member, Mr. Ahmed, who represent us on the Community Action Program Board. And congratulations to the new Executive Director, Ms. Fair. Moving on then to Commissioner McDonough.
Thanks, Madam Chair. I'll quickly report out. I shared with you that I represent counties on MnDOT's planning process for their next 5-year investment plan for roads, bridges, and outstate transit. We had our second meeting on Friday, and that meeting really focused in on various funding scenarios and the constraints of those scenarios to help start shaping various plans that would be developed for each one of those potential funding scenarios. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Commissioner McDonough. And before I move on, I will just note that you passed an agenda and I omitted an item on it, County Connection. So after our board updates, we will circle back to our county manager. Going on then to Commissioner McGuire for your update.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Just a couple things, lot going on, but the Child Care Policy Action Group Subcommittee did meet. We continue to have a lot of interest in that. Commissioner Fretham and I attend those subcommittee meetings, and the community is very engaged in that. We heard a great presentation from Andrea Martinez from the Clues did a parent survey. We heard those results, and there's a lot of interest in all of the work that's going on in that action group. Every time we meet, we want to have time on the agenda to talk about how we're going to move forward, but we always have to put it off to the next meeting because there's so much going on in the hour-long meeting. But we are going to be having conversations on how we continue that work, and the community is interested in that. So thanks to Jennifer Schuster-Yeager and others who are really helping pull that all together. The last thing I'll talk about, Madam Chair, is AMC board met on Friday, and just a couple of highlights. Everyone's anxious to meet in person, but we're not going to meet as a board until the fall. It just isn't feasible logistically to bring people together inside with the space that there is there. There is going to be a strategic planning session for the board. I think in August they're going to do that in person. And so, continuing to do things remotely. And just to let people know that this Friday, the AMC Government Relations is going to do a session update that everybody is welcome to come to. You can sign up for that. Go to the AMC website. And they'll give an update on the session. So thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you very much, Commissioner. Commissioner Ortega.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'd just like to report last Friday we had the last meeting, or the final meeting, I should say, of the food subcommittee, the CARES food subcommittee. It was very good. We went through the accounting of the funds, the evaluation reports regarding the monies, and also connecting Carissa Glad, who's our interim food coordinator, and will be reporting to Kathy Hadeen with the committee, so we could continue having the committee members as they come up with either ideas or come up with ways of providing services in their cities or their regions. And then last night, we had the same type of meeting with the community, and Commissioner Mara Castillo was there along with me, went through the same process, explaining how we are using the best practices that we've learned from this experience of COVID-19 and are integrating them in the way we provide services towards the future. I gotta say, I was very impressed with the community meeting because a lot of great ideas came out of there. We had a dialogue. Usually Commissioner Mara Castillo and I keep quiet and listen, but we were dragged into the conversation and some really good ideas. And I told Trista to make sure to remind me when we're sitting at various boards where some of these ideas need to be germinated outside of the food committee. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you very much, Commissioner Ortega. I will just share a couple of things. This past week, I had the opportunity to speak with the American Society for Public Administrators. And at that particular conference, which was a national conference, where I was able to share the work that Ramsey County has been engaged in during COVID-19 and over a period of time as we focused our vision, our mission, and our goals and values in the work that we do. At that conference, I was surprised to note that one of our administrators received a national award for excellence, and that is Ms. Christine Grill, who is engaged in our open data portal. And so I just want to note that and say a special thank you to Ms. Grill, and congratulations for the award that she received from the National Society of Professional Administrators. I also want to note that in the past few months, I have been meeting along with the City of St. Paul in the Community First Public Safety meetings. This is the last month for the first series of meetings in order to prepare a set of recommendations to the City Council and to the Mayor. That work is proceeding. The focus is on level 4 and 5 for less serious crimes and responses to those crimes or to reports of offenses. It also is focusing in on whether to create an Office of Violence Prevention. Given what we have seen over past months of COVID response and the increases that we have seen in certain offenses, i.e. carjackings, business thefts, gun violence, we are working carefully to respond to an identified focus in the City of St. Paul on violence prevention. I just wanted to share with you that as the recommendations for Community First Public Safety wrap up and the anticipation of that focus on violence prevention exists, our county is being called on to respond, and I want to appreciate the work that is in process to ensure that the arrangements we have made, i.e. for healing streets, are connected to all of the resources that we have to ensure comprehensive responding to this issue as we move forward in building back our community as we need to do out of COVID-19. So again, I will have the opportunity to share with you as thoughts arise and arrangements are made by the City of St. Paul and the manner in which Ramsey County is responding as well, not only to issues of violence prevention for St. Paul, but for throughout our county. I will call on our county manager then for a County Connections report.
Thank you, Madam Chair. We're going to start today as a part of the National County Government Month. We had a video recently done, and so I'm going to ask if the control room can tee up the video. I think we have it ready to go. It's about the program called Reliable Opportunities Advanced Dad Support, ROADS. It's a partnership between Workforce Solutions and the County Attorney's Office. I'll let the video do the rest of the talking, so enjoy.
So the ROADS program stands for Reliable Opportunities to Advance Dad Support, and it's a partnership with the Child Support Services Division of the Ramsey County Attorney's Office and the...
And Madam Chair,
I'm not seeing the video.
Yeah, well, okay, you apparently can't see it either. So how about come back to me, and what we're going to say
and
is...
the Workforce Solutions program, which offers employment services.
If we come back to me, we had a chance that the video might not work. So what we're going to say is we're going to send out the video on the ROADS program to everybody. In short, this is a great partnership between two of our areas in our organization, economic growth and community investment, as well as our safety and justice service team. The program works on career coaching, education and training, child support assistance, and service referrals to support dads in their journey to support families and ensure that we can build a prosperous community. There are two videos that were made as a part of this work and brought communications in. I will make sure both get sent out to you afterwards, and if you can share those through the many channels you have, it would be a good opportunity, and we'll do that as opposed to potentially slow us down today with a lot of other pieces going. Huge credit to the County Attorney's Office and Workforce Solutions. Thanks to Communications for pulling it all together. A couple other...
And thank you.
Thank you,
Thank
Madam.
you. Although I know you are attempting to highlight this County Month, National Counties Month, I appreciate that it did not work this morning to share this video, but certainly want to appreciate that you're doing that for us. And
Thank you.
we'll receive it by email.
And I did offer that Deputy County Manager Hadeen here could do a live action representation, but she passed, so we'll keep going. A good piece of news from last week in a very challenging week. The Gold Line, as you all know, was approved to enter into the next phase of the Federal Transit Authority's Capital Investment Grant Program. This is a big deal, and it's a testament to the dedicated hard work of the collaborative team that comes together to develop transit lines. It involves Metro Council, Metro Transit, Washington County, and especially Ramsey County staff. This is a big step in our work to bring more transportation options to the East Metro and to ensure that we create those critical access networks that will be with us into the future. That is an exciting announcement to get to share with you and our entire community. Yesterday, we had our first of 3 healing sessions sponsored by the Asian Descent Network. There are 3 more sessions coming up on Wednesday. 78 county staff registered, 100 individuals total when we count the City of St. Paul's registration as well. I don't know the demographic breakdown of City of St. Paul staff, but 25% of the staff that registered from the county identified as a race other than Asian in terms of how they identified, which shows that people both want to support whether or not they identify as an Asian American. And you know what I will say, just from hearing a little bit about how the sessions went, emotions are raw. And it's an extremely challenging time to process everything going on around us. And it also leads to moments where things that get processed out loud can be bumpy. And so we continue to try and learn through our sessions how to make sure that we create healing space, that we acknowledge the pain and the hurt that's happening in real time, and that we continue to offer opportunities. One of the big pieces that we have talked about throughout is these are not needs that are only here when an event happens. These are broader underlying needs that we need to be thinking about how we support staff as they continue to push ahead as we move ahead. A huge set of gratitude to the team that's been planning this, Chao Yang, Mi Cheng, Jenny Zhang, and the team in DIOD who's helped support it. Maria, Antonio, and Ann all played big roles in that over in DIOD as well. And then finally, just a short observation. It'll come up more next week at the workshop where we have the second half on boards and commissions. But as we've been doing our community healing sessions, attendance has been it's been up and down depending upon format. And I just think this is an important piece to keep bringing back as we learn. Our online formats are being attended at significantly higher rates than in person. And what we're seeing is we're just able to engage a much wider swath of the community, from youth to adults, through these online platforms. That's something that we're taking away as a lesson in the existing and remaining sessions that we have on for healing sessions, but also as we think ahead is people are voting with how they show up, right? And we've had to come near capacity of 40 in a number of our online sessions. Our in-person are drawing usually less than 10. And both can have power and be meaningful, but this is a new world that we've been in, right? And it's not all COVID related. It's also brought the opportunity to allow other people to engage while making dinner or at home with their children. And so that's just a point along the way. Thanks to the entire team that continues to run those sessions and be flexible as we go, as we learn how people are working with us and responding at such a fraught time for our community. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you very much for the updates on County Connections. I want us to then be able to close out our meeting, but before we do, to remind you that we have a closed meeting close to the public to discuss a legal matter following this meeting. There's a separate link for commissioners. At noon, we also have our annual meeting with the building operators and managers, and that is a virtual meeting for which there is a link for commissioners as well. And at 1:30, we have a county board virtual discussion on the American Rescue Plan, which is open to the public, and there is a link posted on our website for that 1:30 p.m. workshop. With that, then, having completed our business for the day, this county board meeting is, hold on, before I adjourn us, let me also say that we will come back then for our closed meeting at 10:35, according to the link on your calendars. And so now our board meeting is adjourned.